Have you ever felt lonely, right in the middle of a hug? A hug that seems warm and close, but somehow leaves behind an unnamed emptiness inside your chest. Not because you're unloved, not because the other person isn't sincere, but simply because you don't really know what's happening inside yourself in that moment. I remember a group therapy session from a few years back. An older man, an accomplished CEO, articulate, confident, used to being in control, broke down during an exercise that was, on the surface, very simple. We asked everyone to hug a stranger for 30 seconds. No words, no instructions, just presence, breathing, and a sincere physical connection. When it was his turn, he hesitated, then stepped forward. He hugged a young woman standing across from him, awkwardly, as though he was doing something unfamiliar with his own body. 10 seconds in, his shoulders started trembling. 20 seconds in, he was crying silently. And when the timer went off, he let out a breath that sounded like the release of decades of weight. "I don't know why I cried," he said quietly. "I've hugged so many people in my life. My wife, my kids, friends, coworkers. But I don't think I've ever really stayed present in a hug." His words filled the room with silence. And I wonder, how many hugs in our lives are truly healing? And how many are just habits, social reflexes, gestures we've repeated so often they've lost their soul? There are hugs that last only 1 second, but echo through your heart for years. And there are hugs that happen every single day, yet somehow, with each one, we feel further away from the people we once loved most. A hug, when you truly listen to it, can say more than 1,000 words. It's a form of silent language, where the body, the heart, and the mind all touch something deeper, for just a fleeting moment. And in that moment, you can feel everything: pain, safety, longing, connection, or distance, even trust, or the absence of it. So why is it that so many of us struggle to fully embrace someone? Even when we love them deeply? Why do we pull away from raw emotion? Even when it's safe? Why do some hugs feel tight, but not secure? Close, but not comforting? I'm a therapist, and I believe, sometimes, the key to healing isn't in advice or medication. It's in a hug, given at the right moment, with the right presence, from the right heart. This video isn't for those in a rush. It's for you, someone who still longs for real connection. Who wants more than surface-level interaction? Who's ready to heal, not with big steps, but with small, quiet moments of truth? We'll explore the power of a hug, from neuroscience to ancient philosophy. From the therapy room to real stories you might recognize in your own life. And maybe, just maybe, by the end of this journey, you'll remember how to hug someone, and yourself, as though it's the most important thing you've ever done. Are you ready? If you're still here, take a breath, and come with me. You know, I've witnessed so many people break down in the middle of a hug, without knowing why. They weren't in pain. No one had yelled at them. They hadn't just received bad news. They were simply being held, and suddenly, all the emotions they had buried for years began to pour out. Some of them whispered, "I guess I'm just too sensitive." Others apologized, embarrassed by their tears, and some said nothing at all. They just held on tighter. As if, for the first time in a long time, they had finally found a safe place to land. I've always seen hugs as a special kind of language. Not something stored in your mind, but something remembered through the body. Because the body remembers. You can forget someone's words. You can forget their face. But you never forget how it felt to be hugged, or to be rejected. Neuroscience calls this somatic memory, the body's memory. A gentle touch, the weight of an arm, the rhythm of someone's breath, can awaken entire emotional timelines hidden deep inside you, even when your conscious mind has no clue what's going on. In therapy, we know this. The deepest emotional wounds aren't always caused by what was said, but by what was never said, and was only ever felt through the body. A hug isn't always about love. Sometimes, it's an apology that couldn't be spoken aloud. Sometimes, it's loneliness disguised as closeness. Sometimes, it's a desperate attempt to reconnect after too much time apart. And sometimes, it's a silent goodbye, held tightly in the rhythm of an irregular heartbeat. Something magical happens when you hug someone with presence. Your brain starts releasing oxytocin, the bonding hormone, often called the love chemical. Your heartbeats can sync, your breath slows, and if the connection is real, if it's not forced, not performed, Both of you will feel a strange but beautiful sense of safety. As if you've come home. Not to a place, but to yourself. But this only happens when you are truly present. Present not just with your body, but with your heart, your thoughts, your breath, and your silence. We live in a world where even hugs have become tools, strategies for attraction, techniques in communication. That saddens me, because a hug should never be a tactic. It should be an honest, instinctive act of compassion, a sacred bridge between two souls. In Buddhist philosophy, this is called the harmony of body, speech, and mind. If your body is hugging, but your mind is somewhere else, that's not a real hug. If you're physically close, but mentally calculating someone's reaction, that's not intimacy. That's control. Only when your entire being is there, non-judging, non-demanding, does a hug become something else entirely. It becomes a form of moving meditation. I once worked with a mother who came in with her young son, around 7 years old. He was quiet, withdrawn. He refused to hug her, even refused to make eye contact. She was in tears. "I don't know what's wrong with him," she said. "I love him so much. But every time I try to hug him, he pushes me away." We didn't begin by analyzing the child. I simply asked the mother to sit down, place her hand over her heart, and breathe slowly, in silence. Then I asked her, "When was the last time you hugged your son?" Not to teach him something, not to correct him, not to expect anything in return, but just to hug him. That's all? She couldn't answer. And in that moment, I understood. The child wasn't rejecting her. He was rejecting the pressure hidden inside the hug. In psychology, we talk about the mirror effect, the idea that emotions are transferred silently between people. When you hug someone while feeling anxious, scared, or needy, they can feel all of it, even if no words are spoken. But if you're grounded, calm, and unattached to outcome, they will feel safe, without explanation, without needing to earn it. And sometimes, that unspoken safety heals more than 1,000 "I love yous." More than 1,000,000 "I'm here for yous." Or, "Everything's going to be okay." A hug, so small, so quiet, can be spiritual nourishment. The right hug, at the right moment, can stop a panic attack. The right hug, from the right person, can soothe the weight of depression. The right hug, offered with no agenda, can reopen a door that's been quietly closing for months. I've hugged my clients in silence before. No advice, no analysis, no effort to solve anything. Just a hug, and in that stillness, they rested their heads on my shoulder like children. Not because I'm a therapist, but because, for once, they had found a space where they didn't have to be strong. There's a line from Lao Tzu. The most genuine words are wordless. The deepest presence requires nothing but stillness. A true hug, offered with complete presence, transcends language. It doesn't need to be explained. It doesn't need to be returned. It only needs to be given, in freedom. And I hope that from this moment on, you'll begin to see hugs a little differently. Don't ask, "What are they thinking while hugging me?" Instead, ask, "Am I truly present, or just going through the motions? Am I connecting, or seeking validation?" A hug is a gift. If you're willing to set down the noise in your head, and come home to your body. Are you still here with me? If this has resonated with you, stay close, because next, we're going deeper. We're going to explore the different types of hugs, and all the things left unsaid, through silence. Over the years in therapy, I've come to see something so simple, yet so profound. A hug, depending on how it's given or received, can speak volumes. It can say things that words never quite manage to capture. Some people hug you tightly, yet are full of insecurity. Others barely make contact, but offer a quiet tenderness that feels incredibly safe. Some linger in your arms, because they don't want to let you go. And others hug too quickly, as if they're just checking a box, performing a duty. Let me share with you 4 common types of hugs I've encountered. Not so you can judge others, but so you can better understand what's truly happening in those seemingly small moments. You don't need to memorize this. You don't need to label anyone. You just need to listen, with a quiet heart. Type 1. The polite hug, like a nodding gesture with the body. This is the quick, light hug, sometimes with a few pats on the back. It's what we do at greetings, goodbyes, social functions. It's polite, and to be honest, it doesn't carry much emotional weight. I remember watching a man hug his wife this way every evening after work. He didn't look into her eyes. He didn't pause. He gave her a light tap on the shoulder and walked away. Like two acquaintances passing in a hallway. She never said anything. She smiled. But in therapy, she admitted, her voice trembling, "We still touch each other every day. But I feel invisible." You see, a hug can mean nothing if it's empty of presence. Now, I'm not saying this kind of hug is bad. It has its place in society. It serves a function. But if this is how you hug the person you love, day after day, month after month, then this hug becomes a symbol of emotional distance. There's a concept in Confucian philosophy called than nhi bat than. Physically close, but not truly connected. The bodies are near, but the hearts are no longer in sync. Such a hug may look like connection, but it's really a ritual, a habit, and without mindfulness, it becomes a mask, fooling us into thinking intimacy still exists, when in fact, it's already faded. Type 2. The firm hug, a bridge of trust. This is the kind of hug that feels solid. You hold someone for a few seconds. Your bodies make clear contact. It's warm, reassuring, but it doesn't go deep, not yet. I call this hug a bridge. From acquaintance to closeness. From friend to maybe something more. The question is, will you walk across the bridge, or stop at the edge? A young couple once came to see me. They'd been dating for a few months, and hugged each other like this often. Firm, familiar, but something was missing. The woman said, "I feel safe in his arms. But there's still a wall I can't explain." The man responded, "She hugs me tightly, but never rests her head on my shoulder. It's like I'm the only one carrying the weight, physically and emotionally." You see, even a firm hug can lack surrender. Someone may be holding on, but emotionally closed off. They may be gripping tightly, but still afraid to soften. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not act unless your mind is fully there. Action without awareness is a waste of your life." This type of hug is a perfect example. You hug, but your mind is on your to-do list. You hug, but your heart is still holding resentment. You hug, but it's just another step in a routine of intimacy. Not a genuine impulse from love. Remember this, a hug can be a turning point, but only if you enter it with full presence. Type 3. The lingering hug, like an unfinished sentence. This is the kind of hug that lingers. There's hesitation when it ends. It slows your heartbeat just a little. You feel someone exhale softly as they melt into you. And somewhere inside, you know, they need you to stay. Just a few more seconds. But you second guess it. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe they're just being polite. Maybe I'll make it awkward. So, you let go. Right at the moment they were hoping you wouldn't. I saw this happen with a male client once. He was mature, successful, but had been deeply wounded as a child. He told me, "She hugged me longer than usual. Her hand rested on my back. But I didn't know what to do. I got scared, and I let go too fast. After that, she began pulling away. I didn't tell him he made a mistake. I just asked, 'Did you feel her breathing slow down while she was hugging you?' He nodded, and then he cried. Lao Tzu once said, 'Water is soft, but it can break through stone. The one who can soften is truly strong.' The lingering hug is like a gentle stream of emotion. If you're soft enough to receive it, you'll know it's not manipulation. It's not a tactic. It's an invitation, an opening, a flicker of trust, from a heart learning to hope again. Type 4. The wholehearted hug, a silent vow. This is the most complete kind of hug. When someone rests their head on your shoulder. When both bodies slow down and breathe together. Not rushed, not fearful, not uncertain. This is the hug of someone who trusts you. Someone who needs you. Or maybe, someone who's about to lose you. I call this hug, a silent vow. It carries no words, no explanations. Just a presence so full and so steady, that it can hold another person's emotions without needing to fix them. An elderly woman once hugged me this way, on the day her husband passed away. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. She just hugged me, laid her head on my shoulder. Her breath trembled, but her heartbeat was calm. I didn't say, "It'll be okay." I didn't give her any advice. I just held her, in silence, because in that moment, she didn't need someone to take her pain away. She just needed someone to witness it. Sometimes, a hug isn't meant to heal anything. It's just meant to walk with someone through the dark. so they know they're not alone. In Buddhist teachings, a hug like this is called unconditional compassion. You don't try to change the person. You don't expect anything in return. You don't control the outcome. You simply hug. You simply stay. You simply witness. And in that silence, something sacred begins to unfold. Are you still with me? If you've ever given or received a hug like this, you already know. A real hug can't be choreographed. There's no script, no technique. It just needs you, your presence, your honesty, and your willingness to stay a little longer than usual. Have you ever been physically close to someone, but still felt emotionally miles apart? Have you ever found yourself in someone's arms, yet all you could think about was how quickly you wanted it to end? You can't quite explain the feeling. It's not that the other person is unkind. It's not that you don't care about them. It's just something inside you shut down a long time ago. I call this being there, but not really there. And if you felt that, you're not alone. Many people, more than you'd imagine, walk around like this every day. Like souls floating inside bodies they're no longer fully connected to. One of my clients once shared, "I hate being hugged, even by someone I love. I don't know why. My heart races. My head spins. I just want to push them away." You might think that's because of trauma. And yes, but maybe not in the way you expect. Let's break this down through the lens of neuroscience and psychology, and then return to ancient wisdom to explore how healing truly begins. 1. Amygdala hijack. When the past takes over the present, there's a small almond-shaped part in your brain called the amygdala. It's the emotional alarm center, especially sensitive to fear. If you've ever been deeply hurt, betrayed, rejected, abandoned, your amygdala remembers. And the moment something even remotely resembles that old pain, it triggers the same emergency signals. It doesn't ask if it's real. It doesn't care if you're in the past or the present. It just screams, "Danger. This feels familiar." So what happens? You push people away, without knowing why. You get angry after a loving hug, and can't control the reaction. Your heartbeat speeds up, your palms sweat, your breath shortens, like something terrible is about to happen. I call it the quiet hijack of the subconscious. And many people live their whole lives under its influence, especially those who were wounded in childhood or through love. One of my meditation students told me once, "I love my mom deeply, but I can't bring myself to touch her. When she hugs me, I freeze." And when we dug deeper together, here's what surfaced. As a child, he was often punished after his mom hugged him and said, "I love you." For that child, love meant pain. Love meant confusion. Love meant betrayal. Now, even as an adult, even though his mother had changed, his amygdala still followed the same script. Hug equals incoming hurt. 2. Cognitive bias, the mind's hidden distortions. Cognitive biases are mental shortcuts or distortions that twist how we interpret reality. Here are a few examples. You hug someone, and they don't hug you back as tightly right-pointing arrow. You assume, "They don't love me." You hold a hug a little longer than usual right-pointing arrow. You panic. "I'm being too much. They're uncomfortable." But none of that is happening now. Those assumptions come from your past, from wounds, self-doubt, and unexamined beliefs. One especially common bias is called the negativity bias. It means your brain holds on to painful memories more tightly than pleasant ones. You could be hugged with love 100 times, but one moment of rejection, and your nervous system never forgets. So what do? We get cautious. We hesitate. We start hugging with stiff arms and guarded hearts. And in that guardedness, we lose the very connection we're yearning for. 3. Childhood wounds, the cracks that never fully healed. In therapy, we sometimes talk about pre-verbal wounds, hurts that happened before we even had words to describe them. A child who wasn't held when they were scared grows up believing, "I'm not lovable." A child who was hugged only as a way to manipulate or silence them grows up feeling, "Hugs aren't safe. They're fake." And those beliefs live on, hidden, inside your adult body. They shape how you approach every relationship, every touch, every moment of closeness. I once worked with a woman in her 40s. She was a CEO, sharp, admired, seemingly fearless. But every time her partner touched her, she would cry, not from pain, but from guilt. She told me, "Every time he holds me, I feel like I'm betraying the little girl inside me, the one who begged for hugs and got left alone." You see, Hugging isn't just an adult act. It's a reunion with the child inside you. And you can't truly embrace another person with love if that child in you is still trembling in a corner. 4. Mental absence, the most invisible wall of all. One of the most common blocks to connection is this: we're simply not present. When you're hugging someone, but your mind is asking, am I being weird? Do they like this? What should I say next? Then you're there, but you're not really there. And believe me, they feel that. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The wise do not let their minds drift like boats in the wind. They remain here, anchored in this moment, and let everything else pass like clouds in the sky." You cannot offer a real hug if you haven't truly stopped. Stopped thinking, stopped judging, stopped analyzing, and simply been here. 5. Taoist wisdom. Let your emotions flow like water. Lao Tzu wrote, "Water benefits all things without competing. It rests in places others avoid. That is why it is close to the way." Emotions are like water. If you let them flow, they will pass. If you resist or suppress them, they will pressurize and hurt you. Let your hug be like a river. Not forced, not controlled, just an honest current of connection. Are you starting to see it now? All these inner walls, the amygdala alarms, the mental distortions, the childhood pain, the scattered mind, they are not your enemies. They're just old protectors, doing what they were trained to do. But if you don't recognize them, if you never pause to speak to them gently, you may spend your whole life missing the present moment. And I know, you don't want to miss any more moments of true connection. You want to hug someone with your whole heart, without fear, and that's possible. But first, you must learn to embrace yourself. By now, you've probably realized something important. A hug isn't just about physical closeness. It's an emotional language, a moment of truth, a mirror showing you whether you're anchored in the now or floating somewhere far away. You've seen the barriers, you've felt the distance. So the next question becomes, how do we relearn how to hug, genuinely, fully, and with presence? I won't give you techniques. I won't promise 5 steps to make someone think about you forever. I won't teach you how to analyze body language or decode signals. Instead, I'll offer you something simpler. Something I've learned from 2 decades sitting with people in their most vulnerable moments. You don't need anyone else to start. You don't need a romantic partner. You just need you, with an open heart, and the honest intention to connect. Let's begin. 1. Start with yourself. Hug your own body first. You can't offer a wholehearted hug if you reject your own body. One of my clients, a professional dancer, was admired for her grace and presence on stage. She could move beautifully, but she couldn't hold anyone longer than 2 seconds. And she had never truly hugged herself. I asked her to try something simple. Sit down, close your eyes, wrap your arms around your own shoulders like comforting a child. She burst into tears within 10 seconds. We forget that the body has feelings. And the first hug you ever need is with yourself. Try this exercise. Sit in a quiet room. Place your right hand on your left shoulder and your left hand on your right, crossing your arms. Close your eyes. Inhale and feel your heartbeat. Exhale and whisper silently to yourself, "I'm here with you." Repeat 3 times. Then open your eyes. Don't rush to do anything. Just sit and feel. The way you hug others starts with how you treat the emotional space within you. If you feel unsafe inside, you'll carry that tension into every embrace. 2. Observe without judgment. Listen to subtle signals. Before you hug someone, pause. Don't rush into the gesture. Notice, is their body leaning toward or away from you? Is their breath steady or shallow? Do they make eye contact or look away? Are you tense or relaxed? These are not things you need to analyze with your head. Just feel them. Let silence be your teacher. In Vipassana meditation, you don't do anything. You simply witness what is, without trying to fix or change it. Apply this when you hug someone. Don't pull them closer than they're ready for. Don't hold on longer than they're comfortable with. Don't force yourself to express something. Don't expect a certain reaction from them. A present hug has no script. It happens. It flows. And it leaves behind a gentle trace of presence. 3. Use breath as a bridge. Breath is the most intimate, subtle connection you can share. Try this with someone you trust. Before hugging, both of you take a deep breath while looking at each other. While hugging, slow your breath. Don't try to sync. Just breathe knowing the other is doing the same. When ending the hug, exhale softly and let go gently. I once guided a couple through this. They had drifted apart after years of marriage. The first time, they could barely meet each other's eyes. The second time, they cried in the middle of the hug. The third time, the husband whispered, "I don't remember the last time my wife breathed slowly when hugging me." But today, I could feel she was truly there. You don't need to say, "I love you." You don't need to explain your feelings. You just need to breathe and be present. And sometimes, that's all it takes to heal years of quiet distance. 4. Let go of the agenda, allow connection to arise. One common mistake we make is hugging with a hidden goal. To make someone forgive us. To win affection. To appear caring. To test the depth of their feelings. These aren't inherently wrong, but they can make the other person feel subtly controlled. In Mahayana Buddhism, there's a principle called non-abiding mind. It means your love doesn't cling to outcomes. It simply arises because it's true. The most powerful hug is one that expects nothing in return. Try hugging someone with zero agenda. Not to get a reaction. Not to fix anything. Not to change the relationship. Just to acknowledge that you both exist here. Now, together. If you're lucky, they'll sense the safety in your presence. And they might finally relax. Finally soften. Finally stay. 5. Practice the stillness after the hug. One of the most overlooked moments is right after the hug ends. Instead of rushing to speak, walking away, explaining the emotion, try something else. Just stay. Breathe. Feel your body. Notice your heartbeat. Savor the afterglow of connection. I call this the sacred pause. Because many miracles don't happen during the hug, but right after, when two souls realize, we just truly touched each other. Are you smiling now, just a little? Or maybe there's something stirring deep inside you. Something quiet, but undeniably real. If so, you're ready. Ready to embrace not just another person, but life itself, with a presence that's steady and true. Are you still here with me? If you've stayed this far, you're probably not just listening to a video anymore. You're listening to a voice inside your own heart. A voice that's been quiet for a long time. Buried beneath the noise, the routines, the fear of being hurt again. And I get it. I've sat across from many brilliant, kind, deeply feeling people who lived like islands in the middle of an ocean. Not because no one wanted to reach them, but because every time someone tried, they raised invisible walls. Walls that say, "I'm fine. Don't bother me. I'm strong. I don't need anything." But deep down is a child who's still waiting to be seen, to be touched, to be held, without having to prove anything, without having to be perfect, without having to earn it. Let me tell you one last story. It stayed with me for over 2 decades. Etched in my heart, an elderly man, well into his 80s, walked into my therapy room one day. His back was bent, his eyes cloudy with time. He didn't come in for depression, not for anxiety, not for insomnia. He simply said, "There's no one left for me to hug. And no one who wants to hug me." That sentence cut straight through me. During our first session, I invited him to sit. He didn't talk much, just shared stories from his life. Nothing dramatic, just life. People he'd lost, things he used to do. He wasn't complaining. He was simply remembering. Like a film without sound. And then, just before he left, he asked softly, "Doctor, may I hug you? Just once?" I nodded. That hug was slow, gentle, no perfume, no tears, no dramatic goodbye, just two human beings, one nearing the end, the other still traveling, standing together, sharing something only the heart could understand. He never came back. A month later, I received a letter from his grandson. He had passed away. The letter said, he didn't say much about the session. He only told me that for the first time in 10 years. He felt lighter because someone had hugged him. Without pity. Do you see now? Even a final hug can heal. Not by erasing pain, not by changing the past, but by touching the deepest ache of all. The feeling of being unseen, untouched, unacknowledged. And you, listening to me right now, you can be the one to offer that kind of hug. You can be someone's safe place. Simply by being present. You don't need to be a therapist. You don't need any techniques. You just need the courage to stay. To be honest. To hug someone, as if it's the last chance you'll ever have to truly connect. We live in a time of constant contact. but very little true connection. A time of too many words, but too little listening. A world full of meetings, but starving for genuine embraces. And maybe, just maybe, one well-timed hug can shift the emotional path of someone's entire life. There's an old Eastern saying, to hug someone with a quiet heart is to light a lamp inside their soul. And from the West, Marcus Aurelius reminds us, life can end at any moment. So let every act be done with kindness, mindfulness, and sincerity. So if, after this video, you step out into the world and hug someone, not for a purpose, not to get something back, but simply to say with your actions, I'm here, I see you, you deserve to be fully embraced, then maybe, just maybe, you're not only healing them, you're healing yourself, too. Before we end, I'd like to invite you to do one small thing. Right now, hug yourself. No one has to see. No one has to understand. Just wrap your arms around your shoulders, as if you're welcoming home someone deeply loved, who had been lost for a long time, and whisper to yourself, I see you, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere. My dear friend, if you've stayed with me through to the final moment, then perhaps you haven't just been listening to a story. You've been listening to your own soul calling you home. A quiet voice, but powerful enough to guide you back to yourself, back to your real feelings, back to something that seems so simple, but is profoundly sacred, a hug. We've journeyed together through many truths. From the kinds of hugs that hold hidden messages, to the emotional blocks that keep us from being fully present. Amygdala hijacks, childhood wounds, mental absence, cognitive bias. We've explored the difference between habit and presence. We've remembered how a real hug is not a transaction, but an offering. And we've practiced how to hug again, gently, truthfully, and deeply. And now, if I may leave you with one final truth, not as an expert, but as someone who's also walked through darkness, you are not alone. You're simply waking up. When shallow connections no longer satisfy you, when you begin to crave something slower, deeper, safer, that's not weakness. That's your soul waking up. And yes, when a soul awakens, it often feels lonely at first. You no longer fit into the rush, the noise, the empty rituals. You become more sensitive, more raw, but in that rawness, you begin to connect in ways that are real. Don't fear that sensitivity. Don't rush to fix it. Let it guide you back to your original truth. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need to hug the right way. You just need to be there, fully, sincerely, in the moment. And that is already a miracle. If you remember only one thing from this entire journey, let it be this. A well-timed hug won't change the past, but it might change the future of someone's heart. And maybe that someone is you. If this video touched you in any way, with a thought, a feeling, a single tear, let me know in the comments. I read every message, not as a professional, but as a fellow human walking this same road. And if you believe this message is worth sharing, send it to someone you'd like to hug, even if it's only in spirit. And if you'd like to keep walking this healing path together, feel free to subscribe to Mental Balance USA. Not for the algorithm, but so we can keep sitting here together, week after week, with open hearts and real stories, just like this one. Thank you for staying. Thank you for still believing in gentleness. Thank you for letting yourself feel again. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Or maybe, in a quiet, invisible hug, offered with nothing but presence and truth.